All right, so I'm going to show you how to find slope from a graph, from the formula, from a table, and from an equation. All right, so from a graph, if you can kind of remember that the words that we used was rise over run. Remember that rise goes up and down, and if you go up, it's going to be a positive. If you go down, it's a negative. And if the run is going to be left or right. Extend that. And so if you go left, it's negative. If you go right, it's positive. Now, here's the hint. So if you are going to, when you go to find slope from a graph, you want to start the lowest point. It kind of helps make it easier. So looking at the graph, if you look at this graph, you can kind of see there's 2 points already on there. There's one good one that's here, and there's one up here on the y-axis. So there's one on each of the x-axis and the y-axis. All right, so from here, at the lowest point, you're going to either go up or down to get to the next point that we found. So I'm going to go up first. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So I went up 3, so I'm going to say plus 3. Now remember, you need to make sure you go in the same order. Rise first, and then you can run. So when you rise, you can go up or down, and then you can go left or right. Don't try to mix this up in the order. Rise goes first over the run. All right, so now I went up 3, and now I'm going to go left to get to the other point. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I went 4 units to the left. That means I went -4 or -4. It's the same thing. -4 units. So the rise over run. So my rise over run equals, the rise was a +3 over a -4 for my run. Now remember that I can use this negative. This negative can be put out front. You could have it as -3 over 4. You could have it as a -3 over a +4. Or you can have it like we wrote it, was 3 over -4. Those are all the same thing. All right, so that's how you find it from a graph. All right, so we're going to do slope from a table. When we're doing slope from a table, the input column is always on the left. So this is your input, which is your x. And your output column is going to be on the right. And this f of x notation is the same as y. Okay, so if you see the f of x, it's the same as y. To do slope from a table, we're going to use, it's called, it looks like a triangle, but it has, we say change in. So it's going to be change in y over the change in x. And I'll show you how to do that. And that's what this means. So the change in y column would be this one. This is where we're going to come up with the change in y. And we're going to use this column to come up with the change in x. All right. It's pretty simple when you get the hang of it. So we're going to go, what did we have to do to go from -2 to +4? Like how many numbers are between them? So I would have to take -2 plus 6. Plus 6 gives me 4. And the next one, I'm going to go, okay, well, what do I do to go from 4 to 8? I would add 4 on that one. And then I'm going to go, well, what do I need to do from 8 to 10? I'm going to add 2. And then 10 to 6, I would have to add 6. Now, all these numbers are a little different, and that's okay. Whenever you find the slope, it should come out to the same for every single one, and I'll show you. Now, let's go to the input column, which is our change in x, and we're going to do the same thing. How did I go from -1 to +2? I would go through and I have to add 3. And how do I go from 2 to 4? I have to add 2. 4 to 5, I would add 1. And 5 to 8, I would add 3. Now, what you're going to do for each one of these, for every input and every output, you're going to set it up as change in y over change in x. So I'm going to do the first one. Our first change in y goes to our first change in x. So I'm going to have 6 over 3. What does that equal? And then I'm going to do 4 over 2. So change in y over change in x. And then 2 over 1. and then 6 over 3. And I know you're smart, so 6 over 3 simplifies to 2. 4 divided by 2, or 4 over 2 equals 2. 2 over 1 is the same as 2. 6 over 3 is 2. So m, or our slope, equals 2, which is also rate of change, don't forget. Okay. Now, if you can't remember how to do this, that's fine. I'm going to show you how to do how to find slope from 2 points. So we could use 2 points from the table and use the formula, and you'll get to the same answer. Okay. So I'll show you that next. All right, so here's the table I took from the other sheet. The same points are on here, but you might see it written just as 2 normal points out there. So we'll just take 2 points from the table. Remember, this would be a coordinate, so that's a point. This would be a point, this, and this. These are all points, right? We would just put commas between the 2 numbers. So let's take the first 2 points on the table. So we have -1 and -2. So -1, -2, and 2, 4. All right, so these are 2 points. The formula for finding slope from a table is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the formula, and that's we're going to kind of follow this. Now, these labels are how you label the coordinates. And the way you label the coordinates is this. We'll say that this is going to be the first coordinate. This will be our 1s, and then we'll do the second one for our 2s, okay? So this will be x1, y1, x2, y2. So you're going to take the y2 value, and if you look at the top, the y2 is over the 4. So you're going to take 4 minus your y1, and your y1 is a -2. So you can put 4 minus a -2. Now make sure, so it's 4 minus parentheses -2, because when you do minus and negative, now I would type that in your calculator to make sure you have it right. Also know minus and negative is also a plus. So that's the same thing as saying 4 minus a -2 would be the same as saying 4 plus 2. Okay. Now on the bottom it says x2. So x2 is a 2. And then minus, so I'm going to go ahead and put my minus an x1. Our x1 is -1. So 2 minus a -1. Remember, minus a negative is still positive. So that's the same as saying 2 minus a -1 becomes a plus 1. All right, again, use your calculator to make sure you understand it. So I bring it down here and keep following along. So we have what? 4 plus 2 on the top over 2 plus 1 on the bottom. So 4 plus 2 equals 6 over 2 plus 1 equals 3. So 6 over 3 is 2. So we have the exact same slope. Again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And just so you know, that's your change in y over change in x. It's the same thing that I just showed you on the table. Sometimes doing the table version might be easier. And if for some reason you're not given a table, but you like doing it on a table, you can take those points, make your own table, and set it up. So I could write down -1, -2, and 2, 4, and you could do the same thing and go, okay, -2 to 4 is a plus 6, -1 to 2 is a plus 3, and you could do 6 over 3 equals 2. So there's another way to do it. I know it's kind of overwhelming. I'm not trying to get you all confused, but there's lots of different ways it makes sense. All right, going on to the next one. Okay, so on this one, we're going to find slope from an equation. And remember, the y equals mx plus b is the linear equation. This is pretty much what algebra is all about, this linear equation. So if you can remember that slope is the m, do not forget that slope is attached to the x. Slope is not x. Slope is located right in front of x. And this b, this little b right here, if you can remember, that was your y-intercept. Remember, that's the location that tells you where the graph is going to be crossing the y-axis, but we're worried about the slope, so we're talking about the m. So for an example, if you had y equals 2x minus 3, you could maybe have y equals 1 over 3x without anything else next to it. That's it. So on the first one, see, here's the x. So in front of the x is a 2. So my slope, my slope equals 2. On the next equation, here's my x. In front of x or attached to x is 1/3. So my slope equals 1 over 3. So rise 1, run 3. So to be up 1, and then to the right, 1, 2, 3. So up 1 over 3. That's how it works. And then you go up 1 and over 1, 2, 3. So anyway, just kind of give you an idea. All right, you may see something like this. Let's say if you just said y equals x. All right, it's just because you don't have a number in front of x. Remember, there is a number. It's going to be a 1. That's what your slope is, so m equals 1. If for some reason, let's say I'm going to kind of make some more room, make it a little bit smaller. If for some reason they give you something that's written in a different order, it's okay. So if you had y equals -2 plus 3x, just remember, slope is attached to or right in front of x. So here's x. We look right in front of it. That's our 3, so m equals 3. Okay? Hope this helps. If not, let me know, and I'll help clarify it. Talk to you later. Bye.